Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's make sure everything's turned on properly. Slightly distracted this morning looking at handbags. When I should have been testing the stuff. Okay, I think you can hear and see me. Hope you can anyway. As always, good morning, good morning. As always, if you are watching, do please pop a hello in the comments. I will give it a minute or two this morning to wait for YouTube to catch up, because some of you were saying that it was lagging, so we wait. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Angela from a sunny, for the moment, France. Bonjour, du soleil. It's grey here, really, looking out the window. Yeah, yesterday was lovely. Yesterday was beautiful sunshine. We had the day off. It was our anniversary, 32 years together, 26 of those married. We had a very lovely day. Garden centres, fried breakfasts, seaside. Yeah, good day, very good day. And today we celebrate Eric Day. Today, 5 years ago, we got Eric. So he's being treated even more like royalty today than he normally is. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Xenia. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Warm, sunny day. Excellent, excellent. Good, good. Super. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to, it's not Wednesday, welcome to Friday. I've lost track of the days this week. You have a day off and it throws everything out. So yes, Friday. Woo, nearly the weekend. Although I'm working today and I'm working tomorrow. It's all good. It's all good. Good morning, Luna. Thank you, Xenia. Yes, happy Eric Day. Eric Gotcha Day. Good morning, Kerry. From a rainy Clonelly. Yeah, I think we're going to get rain later too. Good morning, Janet. You know, British summertime. I think it knows it's summer at all. Today's subject. I don't think I've actually spoken about this subject before, which in 3 and something years that we've been doing these chats, it's surprising, but I don't think we've spoken about divination before. So that's the subject for today. Thank you, Kerry. Yeah, definitely a happy gotcha Eric Day. Yeah. He was actually literally 24 hours and we had a dog. We weren't thinking of getting a dog. We weren't going to get a dog. He needed a home. He was not in a very good place and bald patches all over his fur. So a quick trip to the pet shop to get all of the stuff, and 24 hours later we had a dog. There you go. 5 years later, he's a part of the family. Karen, cold but dry in Bedford. Oh, that's good. Rains a bit. So yeah, Eric Day. Got him to help me through the menopause, and actually he did. He gave me quite a lot of focus, especially at first when little Git wouldn't sleep through the night without me sleeping on the sofa with him laying on my stomach. But that's, yeah, puppies, a lot of work, definitely a lot of work. Good morning, Trudy. Yes, divination today, that's the subject. Yes, Xenia, don't get me started about hoarding tarot and oracle decks just because I can't resist the beautiful artwork. I think you never have one tarot deck. I think once you get one, there's always a lot more that follow. I've stripped down my tarot decks. I must admit, I have one that I use for spell work, because tarot and oracle cards are brilliant to use as representations in spell working. They give a focus to the spell. So I have one deck that I use specifically for spells. I have a new deck, a Star Trek tarot deck, which I haven't really worked with yet. And of course I have, well, I've got it here actually. I have my Aliman's Tarot. which is a magpie set. I know I've showed you this before. This is my tarot bag that Heather made, actually, available from the Emporium. There's 138 cards in my tarot deck. I think there's 8 death cards alone. There's one of every single card that you normally get in a tarot deck, and then there's duplicates of some, and then there's others that are just completely random cards. Every single card in that deck is from a different tarot deck, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. You get so many random things. I think there's a Queen of Strays card and that type of thing. Lightning in a bottle card. Publishing Goblin. All sorts of random things, as well as the usual ones. And I love it. The idea being that you can add to it and take away from it. You can make your own deck, bringing in cards from other decks that you like. Even in some of your favorite tarot decks, there's always a card or two that you don't really like, or some that you're really drawn to. So you make your own tarot deck. I think it's a brilliant idea. But I do obviously read tarot. And oracle cards are good. They're good particularly for meditating and using in spell work as well, but also good for giving insight. Tarot is probably my main one that I use, but that's the subject for today. Divination. What systems of divination do you use and why? What works? Do certain divination types work for different things? Are there some divinations that you've tried that you didn't get on with, and why? That is the subject for today. Sue says, try as I might to read, I find tarot just pretty cards. That is also the other thing to mention. Not every type of divination is going to resonate with you. I read the tarot. I don't read the runes. I don't read the Om. Ness is our rune guru, and Heather reads the Om. Both absolutely brilliant at doing it. I use the symbols sometimes in spell work, because carving a rune or an Om on something or drawing it on a petition works really well in spell work. I don't read them. I can't read them. It's not my thing. So different types of divination will resonate with you better than others. It's perfectly fine. We all have our own individual skill sets. I think we're all drawn to particular things as well, aren't we? So it's all good. It's all good. Xenia, glorious magpie deck. It is. I love it. And the idea being that with your magpie deck, you can literally add anything. You could add in playing cards. You could add in pieces cut out from the side of the cereal packet. It's whatever works for you, really. At the end of the day, divination tools are just tools. What they do is channel your skill. The skill isn't in the cards. The skill isn't in the pendulum. It isn't in the runes. It's you. It's just a way of channeling your skill. It's about finding a way that works with you to help you channel it. So there you go. Good morning, David. Cleaning the house and talking to the money altar. Oh, yes. Yeah. After the garden centre yesterday, we need to have a serious chat with our money altar. Yeah. How much? The trouble is, the really nice garden centre we went to has plants, and we bought quite a few. But it has some clothes and it has some household goods. Does very nice fried breakfast. Yeah, it gets expensive. And because I spent yesterday in garden centres and out in the garden gardening, my hay fever's going today, which is why my voice is beefy. So divination, what is it? Well, I've heard people say divination is a way of connecting with the spirit world. I think I disagree with that. I think it is just a tool for your own unique psychic abilities. You can use it to connect with the spirit world, but for me, I think it is more about connecting to your subconscious, to the universe, to your own psychic abilities. Doesn't matter what it is, though. I mean, you can read anything. You can read the cake crumbs on your plate. You could read the way that, if you drop something, if you drop a bag of frozen peas, you could read the way that the frozen peas fell on the floor. It is. You can divine from anything, and there's all sorts of things. Cloud scrying. We've all done that, haven't we? Laid there and looked at the clouds. Water scrying. You can scry with a bowl of water, but you can scry equally as well with the surface of a puddle or a lake. Lots of different ways. So I have a feel to try but or Ogham. But pronunciations both way. But until I get my hands on a set, I'll never know if they will resonate with me. I think that's the thing, isn't it? With tarot, with oracle, with runes, with it's the feel of it, isn't it? It's about making that connection with them. But you can make OM sets out of lolly sticks or twigs. Or lolly sticks are really good because you just literally draw the OM symbols on each lolly stick with a Sharpie or something. Runes are the same. You can make runes from crystals. You can make runes from petals. I have a new set of a lithomancy set that I'm creating at the moment. I love lithomancy sets. Basically, you make your own set. Heather has one. Heather reads the bones. So she has a lithomancy set that has deer antler, deer bones, fox bones, pebbles, fossils, and you shake them, cast them, and see where they fall. I'm making my own lithomancy rune set from discs of shell, and I'm going to paint my own symbols on each one, and then hopefully it will resonate with me. We'll see. Good morning, Jalala. Senia, I use runes, tarot, and several oracle cards. For example, a shamanic oracle card deck, goddess oracle, or the work-light oracle. There are so many oracles, aren't there? And there will be one out there for you that speaks to you because there's so many of them. Pendulum, and it depends on the question. Pendulum is really useful for yes/no questions, isn't it? Some oracle cards are good for general advice. Others, like tarot or runes, good for specific situations. Yes. Often they add to each other. Means sometimes I draw a tarot card and a rune and an oracle. I get a better insight from all of these. I agree. Mixing and matching. Quite often, if I'm doing a reading for someone, I will draw an oracle card as a representation for them or the general situation, and then I'll do the tarot reading. It's got to work for you. It mix and match. Brilliant. So I never read cake crumbs as I make sure the plate is clean. Yeah. When I said cake crumbs, breadcrumbs maybe. Now here's an interesting one. A couple of weeks back, I had an email from a BBC radio station, a political show, quite a well-known one. They'd had a listener ask if it's possible for someone to predict the general election using cake crumbs. They'd messaged me to ask me if I would like to come on the show and do a cake crumb reading to predict the election. I did decline the offer. Firstly, because the way it sounded, I'm pretty sure they were just going to take the pee. But secondly, they didn't take a genius to predict the outcome of the general election. So it was all a little bit of a, yeah, you're going to take a mickey out of this. So I must admit I declined. But it is possible to divine with cake crumbs. Or cups of tea. Tea leaf.
There it is.
Tea leaf reading. Although I'm hoping there's no tea leaves in there, because if there is, the tea bag exploded.
Yeah, no, you're all right.
Thank you. Tea leaves, coffee grounds, all very good. Actually, we were watching an episode of Poirot yesterday, and he was doing tea leaf reading. There you go, random thought for today. Good morning, Hazel. When I do divination, there may be a word, theme, image, oracle cards. Then it seems to boost synchronicity, and it increases the signal. The signal gets amplified, then more good synchronicities happen. Yeah, good description. Good description. Good morning, Tess. Lovely to have you back on a Friday. Yeah, I have to remember that it's Friday and not Wednesday. My little brain can't cope. Xenia, I also ask my body how it feels towards a certain personal situation. Do I feel stressed, muscles contracted, uneasy? Do I feel free, wide, and at ease? That's also an interesting thing. I have had situations where, not me in particular, but I have been parts of chats where professional tarot readers have had situations where they couldn't read for a person. The connection was wrong, the energy was wrong, whatever it might have been, and they literally haven't been able to read for the person. It happens. It does happen. Good morning, Kerry. Emma, I've used a variety of different divination tools from crystal balls to tarot, found using witch runes and pendulums work well as crystal balls. Still learning tarot. Tarot is a huge thing to learn, I think. We teach it at the school, obviously. I think it's more about your intuition. Don't read the book that comes with it. Look at the cards. Look at the cards, learn the images. Look at the cards, learn the colors. Each reading the same card will have different meaning because it will be for a different person in different situations. Different parts of that image will jump out at you. You can learn the tarot meanings off pat if you've got a better brain than me. But that's not going to put your personal energy or their personal energy into it, depending on who you're reading for. Your intuition needs to kick in. And the cards say they're a tool. They're a way of prompting your brain, really. Crystal ball is interesting. I do have a crystal ball. I actually quite like, I've got some of the smaller, I'm looking, they're over there. I've got some of the smaller crystal balls. I'm going to go and get one. Wouldn't be the same if I didn't get up and wander, would it? Just giving them a quick dust. So I've got some smaller, camera didn't like me moving. I've got some smaller ones. I actually prefer reading these. Love the green one. The green one puts quite a different spin on images. This one was a gift and it's lovely because it's got lots of inclusions in it. So all of those little inclusions create images and shapes that you can read. I'm going to have to put these on the desk without them rolling off. Let's just prop them there. Crystal ball is, again, about using your intuition, but it's same as scrying. You have to kind of unfocus your eyes, and I find looking across the crystal ball or across the surface of the water rather than directly at it works well. Crystal balls work well as well if you've got a candle flame, because it gives it a bit of movement and it gives you something to look at. But it's about seeing shapes and images and how your brain translates them. And it will be different each time, depending on who you're reading for or what the situation is. Intuition. Angela, I have a couple of tarot decks, but I find it hard to interpret them. I have, cough, cough, quite a few oracle cards, and which ones I use depend upon my mood. My herbal ones are my current favourite, but my go-to is my pendulum. We found a tiny backstreet crystal incense shop the other day in a nearby medieval city here in France. They have some lovely pendulums, but one spoke to me. Turned out it has a secret compartment inside. Brilliant. So you can put questioned crystal oils, herbs inside. That's a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. I think tarot cards and oracle cards for me are kind of interchangeable to a certain degree. If you read the oracle cards with your intuition, then do the same with the tarot cards. Ignore the traditional meanings of them. Just use them the same way that you would oracle cards. But it's an image to prompt your subconscious. Hazel, then more positive synchronicities happen or more wisdom happens in a good way. Not just an answer to a question. It's like it quickens it. Does this happen for others? Do other people find that? Yes, I do, actually. We're magical folk. I think once we put something into action, put it out there, it's meant to happen. It all kind of follows through. Yeah, I do. David, do love a bit of divination. That's a very thoughtful picture you have today, David. Runes and tarot. Couldn't get into oracle cards though. I do use my oracle cards more for spell work, I must admit. Though I can read the Elder Rune. For some reason, it's the Anglo-Saxon runes that keep popping into my head. I think I should look into Anglo-Saxon heathenism. You don't necessarily have to be or follow that pathway to read the Anglo-Saxon runes. They are slightly different, as I understand it. David, talk to Ness. Have a chat with Ness. She knows runes inside out. She'll be able to help you out on that one. And more than happy to chat to you about it. Karen, my grandma used to read the tea leaves. Lots of people did. Lots of folk that weren't necessarily magical or wouldn't call themselves magical used to read the tea leaves. It's interesting. Good morning, Pete's hand. Yeah, no, he's gone back to work now. Sue's, a double espresso. Oh, espresso. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Like most people. Oh, double espresso. You'd peel me off the ceiling. Did have an iced caramel latte yesterday, which was very nice. Apart from the foam. Foam was disgusting. Caramel sauce, iced coffee, nice. Foamy bit on the top, nasty. Anyway. Kate says cheese and toast works great. Don't know, I'm hungry now. You can read cheese on toast. Santeria. Interesting religion. Interesting religion. Lee's an Oracle card fan. Brilliant. Kerry, it's like a well-known weekday morning show. They seem to have someone predicting using asparagus. It is like when they asked me, I thought, no, because all you're going to do is just take the mickey. No, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that's the same thing. You can predict using asparagus. You can predict using anything. Good morning, Karen. Head stuck in a spreadsheet. Oh, that's not fun. Good morning, Eve. Sue, pendulum no good if you have a shake. No, that wouldn't work very well. No. Tess, loved Maura Hodgkins. Talk of pagan tribal intuitive tarot. Literally ripped up the instruction book. Yes, and that's exactly what you should do. When I teach tarot, and the first thing I say is don't read the book. Yeah, Maura is brilliant. Love her, and very wise. Absolutely. Tarot is about using your intuition and looking at the pictures and the images and seeing what jumps out at you. Not about reading the book and learning the keywords, in my humble opinion, and Moira's humble opinion, and she's very wise, so we must be right. Louise, good morning. Use a pendulum, but mostly I look for clues in nature when I'm out walking. If I find a feather, who it's from, what message it might be. Nature can give you all sorts of answers to questions. If you have got a question, you're going out for a walk, ask the question to the universe, ask for a sign. Keep your eyes open while you're out on the walk and see what jumps out at you. You can also make brilliant divination sets from nature. Slices of wood with images drawn on them, twigs, shells, pebbles, all make brilliant divination tools. Okay, Hazel is Charlie. Hello, Charlie. Had to create a new account. Right, hello. David, doesn't Lucia have something in one of her books about reading the images behind your eyes as an exercise? Find myself doing that during some meditation. It can turn funky. This morning I saw a stick man throwing a spear on a boat that turned into an arrow and hit dead center of bullseye shaped as a waxing moon. No idea what it means. This is a straightforward exercise to get your visualization skills working, to get your intuition working. It is about taking those images, write them down if you can't remember them, and then come back to them and see what you make of them. when I can look at that and say, okay, throwing a spear turns into an arrow, hits a bullseye. That sounds quite like you're going to hit the mark on something. You're heading in the right direction. But that's my interpretation of it. It's your vision. It's your image. So it makes more sense for you to translate it, to interpret it, because it will have more personal meaning to you. Good morning, Nita. Forgot it was Friday. Yeah, I'm a bit weird on the days this week. Eve, have several pendulums, but I always use my amethyst. Got it about 15 years ago. Love tarot, but I'm useless at remembering. Now, that's a good point. It's not about remembering, Eve. It's about using your intuition. You do not need to remember all those keywords from the book. You look at the images on the card and use the cards. Use your intuition to connect with those images. Book's not necessary. Good morning, Debbie. Nita, I've been reading cards for over 60 years now. Began with an ordinary pack of cards and now have a vast collection of divination ephemeria. Can you tell I only had 3 or 4 hours sleep last night? I think it is cards in general, isn't it? I haven't yet mastered reading normal playing cards, but I have seen them in action. I've seen people read them, and it's fascinating. Good morning, Kelly. Got a poorly little man at home today. Oh, bless. Good morning, Alex. Emma, my intuition is based on memory regarding the Buffy deck. What episode was it? What character was the episode being depicted? How did they behave? It really helps me read the Buffy deck. Now I know that Emma has Buffy the Vampire Slayer tarot deck, which is fabulous. And it's connection, isn't it? If you connect with it, if you resonate with those characters, that's why I need to go back and look at my Star Trek Next Generation deck, because I know the characters so well. So you know the energy behind the cards that have each character in it. Kelly, tend to use a pendulum, but lately been drawn to tarot. Go for it. But don't read the book. Get the cards, look at the cards. Kate, clouds are most favourite thing to use with divination, that and augury. Augury is birds. And that's Mother Nature. That is reading the way that the birds fly, reading the way that if you see any animals, we've got mice that live in the shed next door and they come through a hole in the wall to our garden. Could read the way they scamper across the garden till Eric barks at them. We get lots of pigeons in the garden, lots of sparrows. You can watch the way that they work. I mean, a lot of it is just birds being birds. But when you get those big flocks of birds swirling through the air, you can read from that. It's nature. It's got so much that it can use to give us insight and guidance with things. Janet, my grandma taught me when you peel an apple, ask a question. If the peel stays one whole piece, the answer is yes. Broken up, no. I suspect a lot of the answers will be no. It's quite difficult to do. But food, you can divine using your food as well. Like with the peel of things, you can count seeds that are in your apple or in your orange to give you an answer to things. Hazel, Charlie, been a rough 7 months. Oh, this whole year has been rubbish for health. Positive thoughts going out to you because it has been rubbish for health all round. Called rock bottom and declutter card. Well, there you go. Literally decluttering. How to decide when to move. Some things rearrange. Both cards spot on. Feel declutter will bring in new energy. Yes. There is only one way up from rock bottom, and that is up. So go for it. Melanie, love divination, been reading for over 35 years. I believe messages and signs can be shown to a person through anything, literally. Yes, absolutely. What you scry into read isn't as important as it is to be open and connected. Nailed it, Melanie. Absolutely nailed it. Ask a question, put it out there, and then wait and see what signs you get. Now, not everything is a sign. If you see a fox walking past you come out of your house to put the bins out, you see the fox walking past. It might just be a fox looking for food. It's not necessarily a message. It's about trusting your intuition and knowing that it's a message for you. If you see a fox 3 or 4 times in a week, then it probably is a message for you. Trust your intuition, ask your intuition, your subconscious, whether that was a message or whether it was just a random fox walking past. It is about being open. It is about using all of your senses to take note of what's going on around you. And I don't think we do that enough. I think perhaps in these fast-paced, busy days, we are so blinkered, phone, heads down, that we don't take in what's going on around us. And that can provide us with so many answers and insights to things. Just got to keep an eye open for it. Good morning, Hannah. Had a vivid dream, which I believe was meant as a divination method. Still haven't worked it out years later. Dreaming is a weird one. There are books on dream interpretation. I've read some good ones. I've read some not so good ones. I don't think there can be standard interpretations because everyone is different. And your dreams are just a way of your subconscious trying to make sense of things. So what I see in my dream might not mean the same for the next person. So I think it is something that you personally have to decide on. If you are interested in dream interpretation, keep a notebook by your bed and write your dream down as soon as you wake. I find if I wake up and I've had quite a vivid dream, I replay it through my head before I even move. And then I tend to remember it. But if you write it down, you can then come back to it a few days later and hopefully get a different kind of perspective and insight on it. But what it means to you is going to mean something different to someone else. What the meanings in the books aren't necessarily going to mean the same for you. I think dream interpretation is incredibly personal. But yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer tarot deck. Yes, that Emma has one. David, true about tarot cards. I have 3 decks now, and the same card in each deck say different things. Yes. And let's give an example of my lovely Alleyman's tarot deck. There are lots of different cards in here, obviously, and there are duplicates. So there are 8 death cards, but they all mean different things. Actually, it's probably easier if I show you. It did come with a little book. Having told you not to read the book. But to give you an example of the death cards, because there are lots of different ones. Here we are. So you think the death card in a tarot deck every tarot deck book will give you the same meanings for the death card. It's endings, basically. You have to have endings to have new beginnings. But this one has lots of different ones. So there's 2, death, blood, and death and motel. So death and blood is about a painful kind of ending. Death and the motel is really kind of just about changes. 2 more death cards. There's death on horse and death dancing. So the dancing death is more about movement and change. It's about going with the flow, really. Death riding the horse is changes, that sweeping changes, that kind of like the tarot tower card, where you make all these changes, these endings, and that's it. That's quite final. 2 more deaths: death sowing and death shoveling. So death sowing is about not letting things go to seed. It's about quite often that one is about actual death of things, but it is about things ending, changing, but those seeds are replanted and new things begin. Death of the Shovel is about realizing that ending needs to happen. So there's all of those different death cards. If you read the book in a standard tarot deck, it would just say death is about endings and cutting ties and, you know, leaving way for new beginnings. All of those cards have completely different images on them, and each one means a different thing. So it is about using your intuition and looking at the images in the card and seeing what you see in those cards. Yeah, super idea. And only looking at a Buffy deck card was about what happened in the episode. If you are familiar with the figures in the tarot, then it works. It's brilliant. Some tarot decks look like completely different oracle decks. One can't get with a genuine interpretation of the card. Yeah, it's got to go with your intuition. Kelly's Sinner tarot deck based on a labyrinth. I saw that one. Like the idea and use of using your knowledge of the characters to build an idea of what the cards is saying. Does that work help? Yes, because you've got that extra information to work from. You understand the characters, you understand the situations. So that will play through to the images in the cards. Do you like to get readings done or just do your own? Good question. I like having my cards read. Well, not necessarily my cards. When you have two talented people like Ness and Heather who read the bones and the Ogham and the runes, then you just ask them. So yeah, I think it's quite difficult to read your own cards because I find I see what I want to see, not necessarily what I should be seeing. So yeah, I get them done. Kerry, I have a deck called Trick or Treat, which have loads of well-known characters. Okay, like the Sanderson sisters, Dorothy, Tin Man, Scarecrow, Lion, Morticia and Gomez. Oh, the Lovers card, brilliant. So the personalities of them seem to resonate with the interpretation because you are familiar with those characters and how they work. So that will fire up your intuition because you've got some background information. Brilliant. Good morning, Tony. Forgot it's Friday. Yeah, it's taking a bit of getting used to, isn't it? Kerry, there are foxes around here. So I see 9 to 10 most nights. Yes, we do around here. So seeing that fox isn't necessarily going to be a message for you. It's just foxes doing what foxes do. It's about realizing, feeling that energy when you see something and knowing that it is a sign rather than just things doing what they normally do. Sue, dreaming lots of late and in full colour. Could be something to do with the Roman detective book I'm reading. Could be. Yes, because dreams are your subconscious trying to process stuff. And if I'm reading a very good book at the moment, it's about time travel. And that's quite graphic. So that affects my dreams. What you've done during the day will affect your dreams. Yeah, it's very personal. Very personal. Jalala, do find myself looking for signs in nature, birds, the leaves in the trees, the water flowing in the river and the things it carries. But also I notice things anywhere. If it seems relevant or unusual. Several tarot decks, oracle decks, but I'm not really connected to them yet. I prefer the Jungian approach to cards as you've been describing. Observe the pictures and see what comes in terms of meaning. Also dreams for me, especially if they're particularly vivid. I think... it is about looking at the card and seeing what part of that image jumps out at you. I might get the same tarot card in several different readings for different people, but each time a different part of that image will be important. A different part of that image will jump out at me, and that's relevant to the person that I'm reading for. So same card, just different parts of the image that I see first when I see the card. With the tarot, I'm very much of an oracle too. Put the card down, say the first thing that you see. The first thing that comes into your head, no matter how bizarre it might seem, say what you see, because it will then follow on from there. Tarot reading, oracle card reading is like telling a story. And in actual fact, I think any of the things like that, lithomancy, runes, they're all about telling a story. And the death shoveling, hiding the evidence. But that could be exactly what comes to mind when you're doing a reading. It is about seeing those different parts of those images and rolling with it. She says, hiding up. Quickly hiding. The cup stuck to the table. Right. Yeah, we'll go with that. And I was introduced to the witch runes through the Kitchen Witch School. You're welcome. Really like these to work with occasionally as I like the simplicity. I find tarot and some oracle decks too overly visual. Okay, yep, I can see that. Some of the tarot decks do have an awful lot of imagery, and I love that. I learned with the Thoth tarot deck, which I still love. It's very brutal, but it has got a lot of imagery to it, quite a lot of detailed imagery to it. I also love the Shadowscapes deck, which has beautiful, beautiful artwork. And that's got a lot of imagery. But yes, I can see that it could be quite overwhelming. It's got to work for you, absolutely. Debbie, I was in a shop recently and walked past a row of pendulums hanging in a case. One pendulum began to swing, the others remained still. Shop owner noticed it. Watched the pendulums. On my way back past the case, the same thing happened. I now have a beautiful copper pendulum. Nice. Copper is beautiful to work with. Real conductor of energy. Perfect. David, never had anyone read for me, even though I know people who read. Why would be my question. There's no right or wrong there. Just why would be interesting. Sephora, what are witch runes? We do teach them at the school. They are in one of the branch lessons. It's a small set of runes that have quite straightforward images. So there's an image of the sun. There's an image of the moon. There's an eye. There's a wheat one for harvest. They're very simple, very straightforward runes. They're quite a modern idea. They're not ancient, but they have a set group of symbols, and you read them like with the runes. You cast them and read them like you would the runes, but each one has its specific meaning. There's one for waves as well. There's one to wedding rings together. Like any kind of straightforward symbols, it's about seeing that symbol and what that means to you. So if you saw an eye painted on a pebble, what would that mean to you? It might mean clarity. It might mean insight. It might mean looking forward. It might mean protection. Is what it means to you. Trudy, nature does hold hidden messages. I had yellow poppies in the garden and one had an orange 13 on the petal. Ooh, for me, it signifies transformation. Came at a time when change was needed for myself and close member of family. Perfect. Nature giving you insight. David, I love my Good Omens deck for reading these days. Love hearing David Tennant or Michael Sheen talking through the cards if they're in them. Brilliant. Yes, because that's the voices that you're assigned to, isn't it? Hannah, I went for a tarot reading once and she said she couldn't read anything because there was a blocker and asked me if I was psychic. I think this is one of those situations where I have seen it happen where readers can't read for someone for whatever reason. They haven't made a connection. It happens. It does happen. For whatever reason. Hasn't happened to me so far, but I have seen it happen with other readers. But also be mindful if you are getting readings from someone. No professional, sensible, decent reader will tell you you're going to die. It wouldn't happen. None of them should tell you really horrific, horrible things. They can give you advice. If they see something in the cards about health issues, they can advise you to go and see the doctor or get a checkup. No one should tell you all the drama stuff, because that's not professional and that's not how it works. You have to feel comfortable with the reader as well. That has to be a connection. Has to be a connection. Just be mindful and don't pay huge amounts of money either. Do some research. Do some research if you want a reading. Get recommendations from friends, family, whatever. Sephora, never seen runes in shops in New Zealand. You don't generally see them in anything other than witchcraft shops. You can make your own set quite easily. Melanie, on a tarot card, a different element, color, tiny detail would jump out for that reading. Yes, I read each card differently depending on the person, other cards in the reading. Mostly read the Deviant Moon Tarot. That's a nice deck, very nice deck. Yes. The witches' runes are like a version of sigil runes. Yes, good way of putting it. Good way of putting it. Sue, I have a set of witch runes, but the lady made them use some poetic license and I can't get them to correspond with the paperwork. I think I'm going to have to make my own. Do it. Yeah, do it. I think anything like the witches' runes, anything making your own. When I've made my own set of runes, I will put some pictures up and show people how I made them, because the symbols are going to mean things to me. Make your own. And there will be a stronger connection as well. I make rune sets, Woodbine. Rune sets are quite straightforward to make. You can use pebbles, you can use tumblestone crystals. I've made them using the little sliced wooden discs you can get in craft shops. Very easy to do. Emma, I know some don't like their tarot cards touched by others, yet others don't mind. I think it depends on the deck for me. Yes, good question. What's everyone's thoughts? Good question. What do we think about that? I don't mind mine because if I'm reading for other people, I quite like them to cut the deck so that their energy transfers to them, but I do cleanse them regularly. It is mindful to ask before touching someone else's tarot deck. But I think if you are reading for someone else, it's quite useful for them to put their energy on it. But it is a very personal thing. Hazel, the sea. Yes, I went to the sea yesterday. The sea for me is my real releasing thing. Jalala, like David, I've not ever had a reading from someone else. Firstly, perhaps because I'm a therapist, I'm acutely aware of how our own beliefs and thoughts influence our interpretation of others, reinforcing that I did once have a faith healing against my better judgment, but I was sick at the time and most definitely abused my trust. There are some charlatans out there. So if you are going to have a reading from others, get recommendations. Do get recommendations for it. You have to feel comfortable with the person. I think it's interesting because it can provide an insight. But just bear in mind that any readings are potential outcomes. Everything can change. You know, chaos is in the whole universe. So everything can change. It is a bit of insight. A bit of possible outcomes. Yeah, Hannah made her own witch runes on little discs of wood. Yeah, the craft shops do them. But if you can get pebbles as well, they're very good. Sue, I find it helps if you know and like the person who reads. Yes, someone I don't like very much tried to read and I put a wall up. Yeah, it happens. It does happen. Dimia makes runes in resin and wood and sell them. Yeah, probably a lot to ship to New Zealand. Yeah, Sephora, make your own. It's very straightforward. Tess, how are you cleansing the cards? I tend to pass them through incense smoke. But if I'm doing readings for other people, sometimes you're there kind of for a few hours or you're there all day or whatever it might be. It's difficult to do that when you're out somewhere doing readings for others. So what I tend to do before each reading is tap the cards 3 times on the desk to cleanse them. If they feel quite sticky, energetically sticky, then I'll do a quick visualization, bit of visualization of white light cleansing them. But I do tap them on the table 3 times before each one, just to give them a bit of clear. And then at the end of the day, when I've done the readings, I will pass them through incense smoke. You can sit them on, if you've got a quartz crystal cluster, you could sit them on that. You could put them out in the moonlight, cleanse them and charge them in that. You could sprinkle them with salt if you wanted to, being fairly careful. But I find incense smoke is very good. And visualization works really well too. Sephora, I find when group reading of tarot, I always get missed out. I suspect they don't like reading me. Heather's the only one to do reading for me. Guess I'm just one of those who has odd energy. Not at all, Sephora. We love your energy. We love your energy. Heather is excellent at reading. Hannah, I use playing cards, but then the children find them and use them for snap. Then I have to buy another deck of cards. Darn kids. David, as long as you cleanse them afterwards, it's fine for someone to touch your cards, but must ask first. Yes, not just me, but the deck. Like cats, they might not be in the mood to be touched. Yeah. Claire, I heard about someone who calls psychic purchases cleaning services on their accounts. Yeah. Tess, had a few card readings from people at Witchfest. Very good, spot on each time. However, now do my own readings as I feel more confident now. Yes, it is. I find reading for myself, I do tend to see what I want to see, though. I think that's the only thing for me with reading for myself. Sue, I was told that you should only read your own cards every 6 months. Any readings, whether you get someone to do it for you or you read your own, don't do it all the time. Don't do it every day. Don't do it every week. Once a month at the most. Yeah. But 6 months would work. I'd probably every 3 months because, stuff changes. Yeah, but don't do it all the time. Karen, do a 1 card reading most days for myself. Pulling 1 card a day is quite a good way of learning the cards. It's not a whole reading. It is just a card to see what's going to happen today. And it's quite a good way of getting familiar with the images on the cards. You pull a card in the morning and see what you feel about that. See if anything jumps out at you. At the end of the day, go back to it and see what's happened, what's worked. It's a good way of familiarizing yourself with the cards. Angela, I have a set of Brian Fowd's Fairy Oracle. Me too. They have been hiding from me for almost 6 years now. They're in the house somewhere, but I've turned upside down. They're keeping themselves invisible. There's fairies for you. Emma, had a lovely lady give me a palm reading before. Apparently I have a long lifeline. That's something I've never had. I have never had a palm reading, which is another form of divination, obviously. Never had that done. He's going to give me hiccups now. Does anyone find the sun activity affects their divination? Same with moon phase. Is there a better time to read? Well, I work with sun magic just as much as I work with moon magic. Yeah, different times of the day are going to have different types of energy. So yes, absolutely it would. I actually think divination from the sort of scrying, your crystal ball, that type of divination is better in the evening, particularly if you can get the full moon to shine on your scrying water or onto your crystal ball. I think that's perfect. I think the dark moon is a brilliant time for divination. But I think if you are reading tarot, runes, whatever it might be for people, sometimes you can't tie it into that different phases. But I think evenings, their liminal times, the sort of dusk time, works quite well. That has to work for you. Hannah, is automatic writing and drawing considered divination? I would say so. It's more, I think, possibly on the side of spirit world. It is a fascinating thing to do, but it can give you insight. So yeah, absolutely, I would say so. As long as you can interpret what you've written or drawn, yeah, I would say so. It definitely gives you insight. So yeah, I would say that comes under divination. Tess, you used your flower oracle card to start my day. Yesterday I pulled sea holly for travel. Sea holly is flowering in her garden at the moment, which is spot on as I'm having a journey with my business. Perfect. Today I pulled Hypericum, rejuvenate, which is spot on as I need a bit of boost. Hypericum being the collective for St. John's wort, so very much about healing and rejuvenation and taking some time for yourself. Perfect. Eve, that's what I do. Pull one or two cards for me. One of my daughters reads tarot. My first deck, Rider-Waite, about 20 years ago, they went to her. Do you know, I have tried with the Rider-Waite deck, and I know it is the traditional one that everyone learns to read tarot with. I did not get on with it. Didn't connect with it at all. Never have. Gone back to it several times and tried. Still don't connect with it. Everyone's different. Everyone's different. Sephora, not so much sunlight, but if we have solar flares and sunspot activity, does anyone else notice that we have that sort of solar activity affects them? I think it would supercharge your reading. I think probably, yes. Bit superpower, bit more solar power. I think that would have an effect. I think if you read the cards regularly for other people, you probably get into a routine of stuff anyway. Yeah, I think it would. I think that would give you a bit of boost. Kerry also has flower oracle deck. Love it. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, all the plants are flowering in the garden at the moment. I think it is. Divination is just about channeling your intuition. And there are so many forms. It is about finding one that works for you. And it is about not just tarot cards either. They have to speak to you. The images have to speak to you. I don't like the tarot decks that have the major arcanes all brilliant pictures, and then the suits are just, 5 wands on a picture. I want a bit more going on in it, but that's just me. Joy, what deck do you use? Have you tried Lenormand? I have seen them. It's not one I've worked with. I have my Alleyman's Tarot, which is my 138 card deck. Each card from a different deck. There's some just bizarre things in here. There's even a Joker card in here from a pack of cards. They are very random and I love them. Thoth deck I find very honest, very brutally honest. If I got some hard questions, then I quite often go to the Thoth deck. But for beautiful artwork, it has to be Shadowscapes because that is a beautiful, beautiful imagery. David, is anyone used to radio? Yes, brilliant. That's fun. Ask a question and tune the radio to a random station and listen to broadcast at the moment, like flicking through a book and stopping at a page to pick a word that might answer your question. Both of those, brilliant fun to do. Ask a question, turn the radio on. Whatever song is playing at that time relates to your question, and that will give you the answer. Same as David says, flick through a book, pick a book randomly off the shelf, having asked a question. Open it at a random page, point at a sentence. Whatever that sentence is about will answer your question. Great fun to do. Great way to enhance your intuition. Great way to practice using your intuition. Hazel, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Charlie. Is there a spread or reading people would recommend doing on your birthday? Cards for next 12 months. Would love to hear the ideas. I would definitely do a reading on your birthday to see what's coming up. 6 month or 12 month. I tend to do a 12-month reading, Samhain. But then that happens to be my birthday as well. But I tend to do that because that's kind of, you're coming into the dark hideaway time of the year. But yeah, 6 or 12 month one would be good on your birthday. Zenny, I find Lenormand spot on. Struggle with the Great Tableau though, but one card draws I find incredibly accurate. Good. Sephora, does anyone remember making the paper flowers that you did with your things at school with answers on? Oh, yes, that used to go like that. They are good fun to play with, and you can put answers on those that you can use again to practice with your intuition. If you want to practice boosting your psychic abilities, little things like that are brilliant. Getting a deck of cards, guessing what the card, tuning in to the card to see what it is, what suit it is, what number it is, and then turning the card over. Not so much these days where we have mobile phones, but also when the phone rings. Don't look at it. Just tune in and see if you can work out who's phoning you or at the door. Little things like that will increase your intuition, help you practice with it. But there's all sorts of things. You can take handfuls of flower petals or leaves and throw them up in the air and read where they land. There's just so many different types of divination. But we are at our hour. I chose divination today because Kitchen Witch are doing our online readings today. We have quite a lot of customers lined up today, so that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the morning with the Kitchen Witch team, is doing readings for everyone. Whatever form of divination you choose, use your intuition. Throw the book away, use your intuition. There's all sorts of divination things to test and try out. Not all of them are going to work for you. You aren't going to resonate with all of them. So give them all a bit of a try and see how you get on with them. But ultimately, they are tools for your own skills. They just channel it. So thank you for joining me, everyone. If you are students of the school, we have a student study hall tomorrow evening, private student study hall tomorrow evening. So join us for that. We have online ritual. Check out the websites, the What's On pages on my website and on the Kitchen Witch website to see all the dates of things, because we're doing all sorts of things. I'm running an Introduction to Witchcraft course tomorrow for College of Psychic Studies. Myself and the girls are running a triple goddess workshop over in Fareham in August. We're also doing a day's workshop over in Kent as well in September. So have a look at the websites for all of the details. The online ritual for Kitchen Witch, links in the comments there. 27th July, 7 p.m. Heather and Ness have written the most amazing ritual to help connect with the Dryad energy. So that should be fun. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts. Give it a try. The only way that you are going to get better at any of it is to practice. But open up your senses. Use your intuition. Have fun with it. Take care, everyone.